Hey everyone, and welcome to Reviews with Ryan. And today on the channel, I'm going to be talking about the brand new drama fantasy film called The Innocents. This film is directed by S. Kill Vogt, and he's done some TV series and also some short films as well. This film will be premiering on Shudder on August 18th, and I got an early screener to check it out and let you guys know what I think. Before I talk about my thoughts about this film, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, give the video a like, comment below your thoughts on this film, and also turn the notification bell so you never miss any video that I post, and I post weekly. And now without further ado, let's get into my thoughts on this brand new film. During the bright Nordic summer, a group of children reveal their dark and mysterious powers when the adults aren't looking. In this original and gripping supernatural thriller, playtime takes a dangerous turn. The film stars Raquel Flatum, Alva Ramstad, Sam Ashriff, Mina Bremseth, Ellen Peterson, and many more. So The Innocents is a Norwegian film. It's in Norwegian language with English subtitles. And really going into this film, I was really intrigued by the premise. I thought having kids having these mysterious powers seemed pretty interesting, and I really thought that this movie was interesting. You have this young couple, they move into this new neighborhood in these apartment complexes, and they have two young daughters. They have one girl that is fully functional, and they have another girl that is autistic, and she's nonverbal. So they're trying to meet new friends, and they basically are just going outside and playing in the woods and playing on the playground, and they end up meeting this boy and little girl. And when they meet this boy and little girl, they have these unique talents and unique powers that they have, and they show them how to do these different powers and what they can do. And it really amazes these girls. What's very interesting about this film is there's certain aspects of this film where the autistic girl can actually speak, but I thought that she had a really difficult role. It's really hard to have a role where all you can make is little grunting noises and just random sounds with your mouth and not speaking the whole film. For pretty much the majority of the film, she doesn't really speak. But I really thought that this film, the title, The Innocents, was very appropriate for this film because you have these young kids, they're really trying to fit in. They're very innocent, obviously, because they're very young and they really don't know what they're really capable of doing in the world. They don't know a lot about the world. And having these powers, it really painted a picture of just how difficult these powers can really be for these children because they don't really know the consequences of these powers if they're not doing something good. And a lot of times with these powers, they could do really bad things, especially if they get really into these powers. It could get really dark for them. So I really did like the concept here of having those powers. I found that the camera work for this was done pretty well. There's no shaky camera or any kind of weird kind of shots or shots that weren't really aligning up. And they do have one camera shot where the film is kind of upside down, and it's a really cool upside down kind of shot. That's probably the most unique shot of the film, but overall it doesn't have anything too crazy with the shots. It's pretty well shot, and they have pretty good cameras here, so it doesn't look really low budget or anything like that. And even the lighting, that looks pretty well done as well. What I think is pretty interesting about this film is the setting. It's in this apartment complex, and honestly from the outside it looks like they have these like old little hotels that are like converted into apartments. But then you go inside the apartments and they're actually pretty nice. They have these really nice wooden tile kind of floors. So it was really interesting from the outside. They look like piece of crap kind of apartments or really hotel rooms if you want to call it that. But yeah, it was really cool that the apartments that they live in, they were actually nice inside. I think also a pro for this film is even though it is a slower paced kind of film, I never felt that this film had a lot of predictability with it. You know that these kids have these powers, but they make it really mysterious. You don't know if at any point they're really going to get in trouble or they're going to have all these different shenanigans going on or really what's going to happen. The film really has a mysteriousness about it, and even though it has that slower paced film, I always felt engaged with this film and felt like I really wanted to know what would happen next to these little kids because they really are self-discovering themselves and really trying to make friends and really trying to just really just entertain themselves, because in this movie, the parents, they're really kind of absent from these different kids. And you really feel for these kids because growing up is really hard. So having your parents not really be there and not really support you or really always be busy, that's really tough on a kid. So them trying to entertain themselves and really try to just actually have fun and be kids and be those innocent kids that they are. It's something that's really interesting to see on screen. As far as cons for this film, what really bugged me throughout this film is the parents in this, they're absent from all these kids. Now, I don't know if it's something where they're just really lazy parents or they really just don't want to be there for their kids or they're working. That really is never really explained throughout this film, and they're really underdeveloped as parents. I also felt that some of the scenes in this, they're a little bit rinse and repeat. A lot of this movie is these kids going out, playing a playground, going to the woods, doing these small kind of powers, and it's a lot of that rinse and repeat. But I really would have liked to see a little bit more destruction with these kids because they can do small things like move rocks, move sand, break sticks. But they have a few little things that they show throughout this film that makes them a little bit more powerful. But it would have been really cool to see why they have these powers, because they really don't really ever say how they have these powers. There are a few things with these powers that they can do good, and there are obviously things they can do bad. I thought that this movie would be more so something on the lines of like a chronicle with little kids, but it's not one of those films. It's a little bit more tamer than that, but it also has its moments where you have a little bit of shock value to it. I do have to say a little bit of a trigger warning in this. There is one scene in this where a cat gets killed, and I just want to let anybody know that doesn't like to see animals get killed. There is one scene in the beginning of the film where a boy kills a cat, so just know that that is in the film. But other than that, there really isn't anything too crazy in this film. There's a couple small scenes that really show their powers. Overall, for me, I was satisfied for this film. I think that it did a good job setting out what it was trying to do. I think that it sticks to the story, has some pretty good camera work. It doesn't have any really cool score or anything like that. It's not a horror film, so just know going into this film that it's not a scary film or a jump scare kind of film. You will notice throughout this film that there's not really a big noticeable score, and when there is a score, it feels like a thriller kind of score throughout the film. But really, that's really all I have to say about this film. A 3 out of 5. I think it's a pretty solid enough film. I enjoyed it for the most part, and I think it's pretty entertaining, and I thought that it was a fresh film. It didn't feel like a film that I've seen 100 times. So I did really think that the director did a really good job, not only directing the film, but also writing it as well. What did you think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you in the middle about it? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching this review as always, and I'll see you guys on my next one.